and good evening once again. Today is May 4th, 2022. This is recording number 358, entitled Love Has Compassion. Love has compassion. You know, one thing that I've noticed about these formats or services that I'm giving out is they're literally following what we might call my personal growth. And I don't want you to think that because I give an offering that you have to follow it exactly the way I'm following it. But I am just kind of reiterating as to or emphasizing what is going on with me and what stops me and causes me to pay attention that I might, as I put parentheses or quotations around that word, grow. We are destined to grow in maturity. Those of you who were with me this past Sunday, if you recall, our last scripture was, let's see, where is it? Well, I don't see it here right in front of me, but it says that we would be filled with the fullness of God. Once we come to an understanding just what is meant by the fullness of God, and I think that is one of the largest hurdles that a person has to get beyond, because you've been so taught how separate you are from God that there is this unknown or this unseen battle going on with yourself. And that's what spurred Love Has Compassion, because I see the battle going on within myself, and I see what I must overcome, because if I don't overcome it, I'm not going to become what it is God says he wants me to be, filled with the fullness of himself. Now, I've got to swallow that. It does not matter what it is I think of myself. It does not matter where my strength may be or where my weaknesses. I have got to swallow that God is not holding anything from me. He wants me to be filled with his fullness, which means that when you see me, you see him. And when you see him, you see me. It's kind of spurred by an instance that I had with a lady yesterday in a parking lot. And I haven't seen this lady since 2017. I see her in passing, and we kind of waved. But I spotted her in the car, and I went out and touched on the shoulder. And when she turned around, she literally jumped out of the car and hugged me. Now, you might say, well, what's strange about that? Because with COVID going on the way it was, I was, a little like, well, because I don't mind hugging people, but I don't just come up and hug you. But anyway, she went on her Facebook page and put on her page that she had come in close contact with me again, and how I had helped her back in 2017 when we were back on jury duty, when we were both on jury duty. And she had fallen down when we went to lunch. And when she came back, she could barely walk, and she's up in the age of 60, 70, whatnot. And, I just kind of mentioned it to the judge, and the judge moved his car to allow her to park right in front of the court. So all she had to really do was just pull up there, and if we came up, we could assist her in. And she put that on Facebook, and then she put basically a caption of, there needs to be more of these Kenneth Orrs out here. So I wrote back and I said, thank you for the compliment, but there's nothing special about me, you see. There are Kenneth Orrs, as you call them. They're all over the world. It's just that I have chosen to see God everywhere. And when I see God everywhere, he provides the need of those which are in need or appear to be in need. And that's one thing we need to understand, that love has compassion. in and of myself, I may have to sit and maybe sometimes and think about whether I want to engage in something or whatnot. Whereas when you see God, God is the engagement. And when God engages, he does, and you see the aftermath of what God does, and you go, oh, cool. I think I want to keep doing this. Now, the scriptures state that no greater love can one have for another than he or she lay down their life for another. And we hear of instances where men and women have put themselves in harm's way to protect others, such as one throwing himself on a hand grenade or a bomb, or one standing in front of a bullet to protect, others behind. And you say, wow, that's a great love. And you begin to ask yourself, what was the inspiration that caused that person to decide that they were going to be the only one harmed, or they were going to minimize the danger? And then you start to understand, you start to look. Compassion. Compassion is a major component of love. See, we think we love one another, but the moment this person, moves out of the range and where we think they ought to be, we start finger pointing and telling people this and whatnot. We have no idea of the damage that we're doing when we start talking about somebody. It doesn't matter about all the good that we said about this person. When we mention the ugly, when that person we're talking about sees that person that we were talking about, what do you think they remember? They remember the ugly. Compassion. Compassion is a major component of love. Wow. God is love, so compassion would have to be God, wouldn't it? Compassion would have to be a characteristic of God, as it is always extending or tending to the needs of others. Compassion is always giving. It is never trying to receive. Now, I do not mean by this that one is to manipulate a situation. I'm going to do this because helping others is the thing that we're supposed to do. That's one of the biggest traps you can fall into. Am I saying don't help? No, I'm not saying don't help people. I'm saying don't help them because that's the right thing to do. Okay? Compassion is a constant inspiration to see. You see something that others don't see. But what we don't realize is that as we continue to see it, we are sowing. And as we sow, that person that we see it in has to be affected by it. Why? Because our consciousness is always expressing itself. It's always throwing out there what it believes. So as we constantly are inspired to see, we see this quality so prevalent in the life of Jesus Christ. If you will just go and take an objective view, you will realize that wherever Jesus was spotted, crowds drew. Now, they didn't all come for the same reason. Some came to get. Most came to get. We find out that, like I was talking to a guy today, and we were talking about, he said, sometimes you tell me that I'm not doing something. And I said, well, you have to understand that when I tell you that, I'm talking to me. I'm seeing me. I'm seeing what I see in you. I see it in me. And I said, for instance, you may say that you're 50-50 on doing something. Whereas to me, 99.9999999, if that 0.00001 is there, that's the destructive measure in your 100%. Just that 0.00000. Why? Because it gives you the ability to not be inspired, to not see what needs to be done. And as long as you have the ability to make that decision, you will probably err. You probably err in the wrong direction. I'm not saying you definitely will, but you have the capacity to. Jesus did not have the capacity to err. Wherever he was spotted, crowds drew. His objective was not to simply provide for their needs, but to reveal the compassionate, loving one ever present. I hope you can see I'm using double talk here, because Jesus came out and people came to him to do what? To receive some resolution to some bad situation. But that was not his reason to go to those people. His inspiration was to show people of this compassion that was with him, that wanted him, he wanted them to be as he was. So as he was extending compassion to them, for whatever reason, he did not withhold anything from them, but he did kind of warn them that if they kept their eyes based on what they could see, hear, taste, touch, and smell, they would never be happy. On occasion, he was even brought to tears when he realized the magnitude of the compassion. Have you ever been brought to tears when you sit up and just think about the plight that humanity is in? Or do you sit up and come to tears because of the plight you're in? See, that's the question. Do I want to just get me out of this? Or can I go towards the greater good? Jesus saw, on one occasion it says he stood and he said, O Jerusalem, how often would I have gathered you unto myself, but you would not. And he was brought to tears. On another occasion he said, have I been with you so long over there at Lazarus' death, Lazarus' tomb, that he said, y'all don't recognize who I am. You don't recognize what's standing here in the earth. His compassion had gone so far that he knew he could raise every dead body if he wanted to. He knew he could heal every disease. He knew that he could provide food, shelter, clothing. He knew that he could stop the sword and whatnot if it came towards people. And yet, what did he want? He wanted me to be able to see this. Because when I see it, like I told the guy today, it's like knowing and knowing. And he went, huh? Knowing and knowing? Yeah. I said, do you know that the Lord is your shepherd? You shall not want? He said, yeah. I said, you know that 100%? He said, yeah. I said, then why do you get mad at people when they don't act the way you need them to act? He said, whoa, let me back up. Right. See, I'm looking at me. He thinks I'm talking to him, but I'm talking to me because I get upset when things don't often go the way that I think they should. But would I get upset if I knew that the words the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want? Would I get upset if I do that 100%? I wouldn't care what you thought, would I? So why do I get upset? 0.00001. You see what I'm saying? It's there. It's there. It's always there. As my brother says a lot of times, the sons of God came before God, and Satan came too. 0.00001. It's always there to accuse you. Let's get this thing out of our head about some pointed ears, long-tailed, spear carrying red suit, slew foot, whatever. Let's get rid of that. Like I said to you guys a few weeks back, you get in an argument and you can always point to the devil being all over that person that you're arguing with. He ain't never on you. He's never on you. You see, God has compassion for his creation. He had so much compassion that he would integrate it into the conscience that when recognized, it would reveal a gift so stupendous that one would lay down earthly desire to reveal this to all that would be interested. Are you ready to lay your life down to the point where you don't want anything but for people to recognize this stupendous gift that God has already integrated, and you're willing to take the he's and the ho's and you're willing to take all that to get this across to people, knowing that they will resist probably at every occasion because they're so instituted, so trained into what it is they want to do, their desires. Some of us have so many desires we don't even know we got them. We just know that when somebody asks, y'all know that wall that flies up when somebody asks you to do something, immediately you start backing up a little bit. You try not to show them, but they see it. If they're astute enough, they see it. As he called others to follow, as he displayed acts of love, as he healed those afflicted, it was only to inspire them to not just follow him physically, but to follow his life pattern that they might be fulfilled. I'm going to say that again. When Jesus Christ came to others and he said, he comes to Matthew, okay? Matthew's sitting at a tax collector's desk. He says, follow me. He looked at Peter. He says, follow me. He looked at Nathaniel, I think it was, I saw you under the fig tree. Follow me. He didn't tell them to follow him because he was going to be famous one day and they were going to be known as his roadies. You know what I mean? Or they were going to be the next generation of whatever it was he left behind. No. But Judas, we know why he followed Christ. We don't know the whole reason he followed, but we know it wasn't that he wanted to be like Jesus. We know that the zealot, when he came in, he was still trying to practice. We know that Thomas, when he came in, he was still trying to doubt. You see what I'm saying? But the bottom line is this is a work. This is a work that says, I am come to fulfill you. I am not come to fill your house. I am come to fulfill you, because the fulfillment of love's compassion is a rest. Inspiration must be an inner movement to act, to give, not to gain. When one's inspiration is centered on gaining, it can be readily identified as selfishness. One example to this, and I haven't proved it in every direction, but one is, you ever notice these YouTube commercials where the person says, I made $80 million practicing digital real estate. I made $120 million practicing so-and-so. I made $40 million. I made $40,000 stuffing envelopes, right? If you got $80 million, why do you need to come to YouTube to get me to become a part of what you're doing? Because you're tired of working at whatever made $80 million. Now you're going to sell it to me for $19.95. You ain't going to do nothing from now on. You're just going to sit back and collect checks. You see what I'm saying? Now, you can see the selfishness when you see it. This guy says, I made $80 million. Why don't you make $160 then? No, I want to offer this to you free. Yeah, right. You came up on YouTube. Now, when I find that person on YouTube that's actually made $80 million and he's giving me everything he knows free, okay, you might have one of my ears. But the moment you say 1995, my mind immediately goes all around the world and go, how many 80 million people going to send you 1995? You ain't doing nothing. But the selfishness just jumps right out because people think that having money is going to secure them on this earth. Christians, and what I mean by Christians, I mean bona fide practicing Christians should know right off there is no security here in the earth. But when a person's inspiration is centered on giving, this person is worth his weight in words. Did you get that? He's worth his weight in words, not weight in gold. Weight in words. The point for us to see is an all-independent, abundantly blessed, free from fear and concern. That's what we're looking for. To get to a place where nothing moved us. Now, I'm going to let you in on a little personal thing, but I'm not going to call any names because this is what really got me to thinking. I was questioned on the rightfulness of taking the high road in provocation. You know how we get in a situation and somebody tells you take the high road? And I gave what I thought was a good answer, but when I hung up the phone, that question stayed with me. Why would I question taking the high road? What's the problem with taking the high road? And I stayed there in meditation until it came to me. Taking the high road is a law. It's a law of life discipline to keep peace between two people. So I take the high road. Well, you know what you're going to get, don't you? That person is going to take advantage of your situation, and you're going to walk away unfulfilled. You're going to walk away going, I took the high road, and I feel like crap. You know why? Because here's the answer. You haven't seen the end of the high road. You haven't seen the result, because the high road has said, if you take me, and if you allow me to blossom within you, I am going to reveal to you, within you, I'm going to reveal to you an inspiration that cannot be moved. Oh, now that's a little bit different, isn't it? Now I see that if I take the high road, I may appear to fail a lot taking the high road, only because inspiration has not raised its beautiful face and shown me that I see it. Because once I see it, I know now that there is no difficulty that can come to me where inspiration will not resolve it. Do you hear what I'm saying? I must take the high road, and I trip, stumble, fall, get a little victory here, get a little victory there, and I keep at it until the victories begin to line up more than the defeat. What did Jesus say? Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is like one who plants a seed, and he sleeps day and night, and he knows not how, but it grows. So what is my thought on inspiration? I am now understanding that inspiration is becoming concrete within my understanding, and it's growing at a pace that I can understand. It's like another young man told me the other day. He was speaking about someone else, and I said, you know, you guys have been with me in excess of 5 years, 8, 9 years. And I said, I used to sit back here and wonder why you never called, you never asked questions, you never did this, never did that. And I said, and then all of a sudden I realized it's not about me riding herd over your spiritual growth. It's about me riding herd over my spiritual growth. And I said, and when I turned you guys loose, now you're coming to me saying stuff like, Rev, you can't take a break from this, can you? I said, nope. You got to stay in this 24/7. I said, right. I said, because the world is not taking a break. They could care less that you're studying spiritual principles and whatnot. And I said, and what's really bad is when they find out you are. That's when they load up and they start looking for every little slip, trip, and fall thing that's in front of you, and they bring it up and put it in your face. I said, so the bottom line is leave people alone and go into your solitude and ponder the truthfulness of truth until, not love, until compassion, inspiration raises up and says, see me? That's why a lot of times when you hear me talk about chasing the rabbit down the rabbit hole. That's inspiration. I see something, and then I take off. And when I thought I've lost the rabbit, I tell you what, he peeked his head back around the corner to let me know this is the way. Come on down here. If one takes the course without inner inspiration of its soundness, its validity, its ability to provide as it has claimed, they are simply justifying the law. That's why when we read the scriptures, it says the 10 commandments are the law, but the end of the law is the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ. And people don't realize the end of the law is when you come out of just physical discipline and inspiration has occurred in you. And not only is inspiration, but love. They have both raised their head to where now you can walk around and you can choose to not have that 0.00001. See? Because that 0.0001 is there to accuse. It's there to cause you to doubt. It's there to say, this stuff don't work. But if you choose to let inspiration work its work, then you are no longer justifying the law. When we merely adhere to the laws of discipline that are created to keep peace and establish a wholesome environment, we are killing ourselves. But what is usually found is someone being taken advantage of, as I said a little bit earlier, and the other gaining whatever it is they want. Compassion can only be attained when love of the law, living as an inspiration of convincibility. Compassion can only be attained when we believe that living an inspiration convinces us that it will not leave us, it will not falter. Or something felt beyond emotion. And I know you know what I'm talking about. You've had many instances where something happened and it went past emotion, not past, sometimes it just shakes me. I'll be sitting there and something happened and it just shakes me. And I know, well, I put some feeling into whatever that is and I'm going to receive that real quick. So I need to check, what was it? Was it fear? Or was it the inspiration that God is with me? Knowing of the believableness of inspiration to provide as it has stated it would. I hope that you can see as I'm talking here, something going on inside you as opposed to seeing something happen out here. Most people pray to God for what reason? To see something happen out here. But Jesus Christ prayed because he knew of what had happened within, and he was assured. That's why he could tell people, go, be at peace, open your eyes. He wasn't praying. He was convinced that inspiration had showed himself to him and that he now had the ability to walk, talk, and speak as the Father's ambassador. What man is actually looking for is a complete sanctification within that causes rest from concern, a Sabbath, if you will. A continuous day of rest from concerns of living. Can you imagine such a thing? If you are a reader or a disciple of Neville Goddard, you know exactly what I'm saying. A continuous day of rest from concern of living. Wow. What would that be like? Well, go in your imagination and look. What would it look or feel like to know that now you can walk this earth and you could care less what's going on? Like I tell people all the time, how you going to get off this planet? Do you have a plan? You don't know how you got here? Oh, I'm telling you how you got here, but you don't know how you got here. You don't know how long you're going to be here. And the bottom line is you trying to figure out how to get out of this place without laying up on a bed for 3-4 years, or somebody, some skyscraper or a tornado coming, and how you going to get off? You've got to cultivate a love. You got to have a lover all your own. And that lover has to convince you that as it has promised, it will stand by you on all occasions. One must separate themselves from familiar resolves and seek the inspiration of truth. I know you know what I'm talking about. They mess with me, I got a 357 over here, right? They mess with me downtown, I got a lawyer over in so-and-so going to take care of it. I got a judge in my pocket. I got a this, I got a Doberman, I got a Rottweiler. I got a girlfriend with teeth that's like vampires. You know what I'm talking about? We got to get rid of familiar resolves. Because as long as you can .00001 figure it out, you're never going to be sanctified. And the sanctification is what you want. We have to separate ourselves from familiar resolve, and it hurts. I'm not going to stand here and tell you it doesn't hurt. To sit down in a chair and sit there and go, how do I trust God? That's the accusation. It's coming to tell you, But if you don't go into it, you'll never find out what it is. If you just keep taking the high road because that's what they told you to do, forget victory. Forget that. Go ahead. I'm willing to take, like I told the guy the other day, I said, I see this guy scoring all them points in basketball. I said, he might beat me with all them points. He's that good, but he ain't going to beat me with that one shot. He ain't going to make me go vertical and he stick the ball under my arm. I mean, if you notice, it's all same shot every time. No, bro, I'm going to foul you. I'll foul you. You ain't going to beat me with that shot. You might beat me with 10 others, but you not that one. You see what I'm saying? So all I'm trying to say is you got to be willing to take defeat. Take a few defeats, and God is saying, don't worry about it, I got you. You still here, right? As long as you're still here, inspiration is still with you. We must cease our eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil and eat continuously from the tree of life. Where have we heard that? Wow. Many people find this difficult because they have been led to believe that this is some event to be experienced in the future. And yet, overlook the fact that the problem should be addressed from the beginning. Where did you hear the story of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil? Isn't it right in the very first book of the Bible? Have you been eating from the .001? And what do? We separate ourselves from the story and put it on Adam and Eve and debate between one another which one was at fault. And the bottom line is God said, are y'all listening? Thousands of generations down the road, are y'all listening? Stop eating from that tree. Eat from the tree of life. Wow. When is this? When we begin to desire to be better than how we were created. Isn't that what the serpent told Eve and Adam? You might say he told Eve. No, he told both of them. I had a guy arguing with me one time saying, Eve did this, and I said, well, my Bible said, and her husband with her. But he wanted to tell me I was wrong. I said, you arguing with the Bible. It's her husband with her, Adam with her. So he was standing there, dude. As we spend time in solitude, pondering scriptural truth, we will embrace as well as become embraced by the presence of He that hath made us. You cannot sow to something and not reap what it is. You cannot put your attention on anything and not reap what you're putting your attention on. So if you ponder the truth of the scriptures, you are going to receive the scripture maker. You're going to receive the inspiration of the Almighty. You are going to receive the counsel of the Almighty. Be patient, it says. Be patient, but be confident. Once convinced of this ever-present presence, we also are enabled to ignore any other presence contrary and every other negative suggestion to our well-being. Remember what I said? I created a space within me, in my heart, that when I am sitting by myself, when I get in my car and I'm riding, when I get out and go in the store, what am I looking at? Everywhere I look, I'm looking at God, the only presence. I can't, and when someone comes up and throws that point, give me that opportunity, I look away. Or I smile at them. And I take the hit. What you smiling at? And I just say to myself, you. I know who you are. I am going to practice this. I'm going to practice it over and over and over. Why? Because I know it is God that does the work. When I think about it is, you know who that is. And his whole purpose is to do what? Cause me to fail. Now, how would you feel if you found out you are your own failure? I walked today, and a thought hit to my head. You know how kids go to school on scholarships? I said, most of the people in the world are on their way to hell on a scholarship. Now, I'm not laughing at them, but the scholarship is what? Don't read the Bible. Don't look for inspiration. Don't ponder the truth. You're on scholarship. You ain't got to do nothing. You're going to get straight F. One way. Now, I'm not talking about some eternal burning fire, okay? Now, let's don't go there. What I'm talking about is you are never going to be satisfied on this plane of life because you're all trying to resolve some issue through the discipline of law or through carrying your own gun or through getting into the government where somebody's protecting you or, you know what I'm talking about. Your scholarship. Do whatever you want and explain it. Try to explain it away. We become convinced that this presence is the only presence that we will deal with as it was, is, and will be the only presence in existence. Look at how you locked yourself into that parenthesis. As it was the only presence from the beginning, as it is the only presence right now, and it will be the only presence in what we call the future. We lock ourselves in to practicing this 24/7. This is the revelation that cures all problems. We live each day, each moment of each day, with the understanding of God as the only presence. As we do so, we are relieved of the fears of hurt, harm, and endangerment. We silently proclaim as our all in all. We silently proclaim What am I silently proclaiming? God is my all in all. God is our. When I proclaim that for myself, I got to proclaim it for you too. God is our all in all. And we then receive the reward of this sacred treasure. What is the sacred treasure? Lay up in heaven treasure. What is the treasure? God is my all in all. Would you be willing to sit on the witness stand and witness to that? Yes. Would you be willing to look stupid in front of a world who doesn't believe in God, and yet they get on TV every day talking about faith, how faith is doing this, and the world just falling apart right in front of us because they've actually been convinced that what they're doing, what are they doing? 0.0001. On scholarship. 0.0001. If I don't like something, we go to the government, we vote it in, vote it out. Right? If I don't like something, we go down, we change the law. We change the rules. We change voting districts. We change all kinds of stuff because God put me in charge. No, God never put 0.0001 in charge. He said, walk with me. Lay me up as a sacred treasure, and I will never, ever deny you. In closing, remember this. Each day comes full of the evil with thereof. It comes full of evil. He told us that. And it comes to remind us of our ever-widening separation from God. Can you see that? 0.0001 is everywhere you look, and it's constantly saying, I feel sorry for you, dog. This ain't going to happen. This ain't going to happen. This ain't going to happen. You are being separated from God, and you must have done something wrong, Job, because you'd be blessed if you really, really believed in God. But we have to remind ourselves, these are but dials. You get it? Everywhere you look out there is a but dial. Something is calling. It's like you treat the people that call you all day. Telemarketers, when you pick it up and you realize what it is, you go butt dial, don't you, and hang it up. Well, that's what God is telling us. Whatever is coming at you, I don't care how ugly, how emotional, or whatever, it's a butt dial. And it's a butt dial because we have occasioned ourselves in discipline to go into the silence, and we there find the compassion of love. God bless you.